Representative Dan Goldman just spent 5 minutes trying to get a straight answer out of Secretary Markwayne Mullin. He did not get one. The issue is court orders. Goldman asked a simple question. How do you determine when a court order is political or not? Mullin said, typically when it is overturned by a higher court. Goldman asked, in the interim period, while it is on appeal, do you follow that court order? Mullin said, they enforce the nation's laws every single day. They do not pick and choose.
So in the interim period, when it's on appeal, do you follow that court order?
Sir, we enforce the law every single day. We don't pick and choose which law we enforce. We simply.
I'm not talking about the law. I'm talking about a court order.
Goldman clarified that he was not asking about laws. He was asking about court orders. Mullin said a court order is a law, so they enforce it. Then Goldman brought up a specific case. In New York, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District wrote an extraordinary letter to a judge accusing an ICE lawyer of concealing a memo from both the U.S. Attorney's Office and the judge. That memo undermined the policy ICE was using to arrest immigrants at immigration courthouses. Goldman asked if Mullin was familiar with it. Mullin said he was not. Goldman said he was disappointed. He worked at the Justice Department for 10 years. He had never seen a letter like that.
Well, that is what happened. It's a little disappointing to me that you're not familiar with that. I worked in the Department of Justice for 10 years. I've never seen a letter like that.
Mullin then said that if immigrants are on a final order of removal, ICE has the right to pick them up at courthouses. Goldman said that never happens. What happens every day is that people who are here lawfully seeking lawful status go to court because they are required to do so. Then they come out and are arrested. They are sent to low-security facilities. They have no criminal records. Judge Castell, a Bush appointee, has ordered that process stopped. Goldman asked if the administration will stop it everywhere. Mullin did not answer. The time expired. Let's watch.
Very much. I now recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Goldman, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Mullin, how do you determine when a court order is political or not?
Well, typically when it's overturned by a higher court.
So in the interim period, when it's on appeal, do you follow that court order?
Sir, we enforce the law every single day. We don't pick and choose which law we enforce. We simply.
I'm not talking about the law. I'm talking about a court order.
Well, but it is a law. So we're enforcing the law every single day.
Okay, because yesterday the thing that concerned me is that you would not certify to Senator Murphy that you will follow the court orders.
What I said is
even
the exact
if
same
you
answer I gave
disagree.
you right now.
Sorry?
I gave him the exact same answer I gave you. We'll enforce the nation's laws. That we don't pick and choose which law we enforce the nation's laws. But it is.
So then why is it relevant whether it's political or not?
Because we see lower benches and even upper benches that make decisions based on political reasons, not just.
But so who makes that decision? You say we see it. Who decides that it's
all the
political?
time? Tell me it hasn't happened. You guys complain about it when the Biden administration was in office.
I didn't say that. You said it. You said you see it all the time. Do you decide that?
Congressman, I said we're going to enforce the law. We don't pick and choose which law. We enforce the nation's laws. Full stop.
So you will follow court orders. Is that?
I said we'll enforce the nation's laws.
Now, you are aware, I'm sure, of a case in New York related to the arrests at immigration courthouses. In March, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York wrote an extraordinary letter to a judge accusing an ICE lawyer of concealing a memo from both the U.S. Attorney's Office and the judge. And that memo specifically undermined the policy that ICE was using to arrest immigrants at immigration courthouses. You're familiar with that?
I'm actually not.
You're not? Okay. Well, that is what happened. It's a little disappointing to me that you're not familiar with that.
I don't know the number of cases we have that could we get sued.
Well, this is the question, though. So. I worked in the Department of Justice for 10 years. I've never seen a letter like that where a representation by a government agency to a court that another government agency actively concealed a memo that ultimately changed the decision. Has there been any disciplinary action taken on that ICE agency lawyer?
I'm not familiar with the case. I already said that.
Well, that's disappointing to me because
We get hundreds.
I've never.
We get
you get
hundreds of
hundreds,
these
but
all
I
the time.
trust you. You do not get letters like this to courts from the U.S. Attorney's Office accusing their own government colleague in a different agency of concealing a memo. And now the problem is,
I would have to see it before I take your full.
that's fine. You can.
Unfortunately, a
You
lot of
should
stuff gets
also
taken out
look.
of
You should
context.
also look at the judge's order, where he then prohibited any arrests at immigration courthouses at the 3 federal buildings in New York City. Are you aware of
I
that
don't believe
order?
he has the authority to do that. Because when they're on final order, we
You
have
don't
the-
think
we
he
have
has the
right to pick it
authority
up.
to do that?
When they're on final order, we pick them up after the court case. That's law. So where are we supposed to arrest them if they're on final order and it gets denied?
Sir, they're not going for a final order of removal.
No,
They are
that's a
going
blanket
for their
statement that
asylum
you just said.
case.
You just said a blanket statement. You didn't give preference to it. I said if it's a final order. You said they're not supposed to arrest any. That's what you just said.
At immigration courthouses.
If they're on final order of removal and they filed their last appeal, then we have the right to pick them up and deport them.
That never happens. Never. No appeal ever happens at a courtroom in immigration court. Okay? What happens every day and thousands of time against your own policy is that people who are here lawfully seeking lawful status go to court because they're required to do so. And then they come out of court and they're snatched by your ICE officers. They're arrested. They're sent to Delaney Hall. They're sent to the MDC. They are not the worst of the worst. They have no records. And you know how we have no record? They have no records? Because those 2 facilities are low security. They are not allowed to go there if they have serious criminal convictions.
Delaney Hall has.
I didn't ask a question. I didn't ask a question,
You made an
sir.
accusation.
I
You said
reclaim my time.
666 people that's in Delaney Hall, 228 are serious
I reclaim
felons.
my time. I would like extra time, please. So the problem is that they are being arrested without a final order of removal. Judge Castell, a Bush appointee, I don't know if that matters in the political calculation, has ordered that to be stopped. Are you going to stop that same process outside of New York City because it applies equally every single place in this country?
The gentleman's time has expired, and I
would
will.
like for
I
him
will.
to
I will
answer
remind the gentleman's time has expired. I will remind the witness that when this is the member's time, when they reclaim it, please allow them to move on. I am trying to hold everybody to the 5 minutes. I'm letting him try to answer when these are important, because these are important questions, everyone. I'm trying to let him answer, but I will still keep order here. So, witnesses, when the time is reclaimed, please allow the member to continue. Their time is limited to 5 minutes.
It's
And
a
I will-
simple question. Can he answer it?
No, your time's now expired, and I will recognize the gentleman
Well,
from...
way to run interference.
No, your time was limited to 5 minutes, and you started with the statement. I will now recognize the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Burkeen, for 5 minutes of questions.
This hearing is a masterclass in how to watch a witness dodge a simple question and a member of Congress refuse to let him get away with it. Representative Dan Goldman came with a specific case, a specific letter, and a specific question. He did not get a specific answer. The exchange began with a philosophical question. How do you determine when a court order is political? Mullin said it is political when it is overturned by a higher court. That is not a definition. That is an observation. Goldman asked the practical question. In the interim period, while the order is on appeal, do you follow it? Mullin said they enforce the nation's laws. He said a court order is a law, so by his logic, they follow it. But he would not say those words. He would not say, yes, we follow court orders. He said, we enforce the nation's laws. That is a dodge. Then Goldman brought the specific case. In New York, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District wrote an extraordinary letter. He accused an ICE lawyer of concealing a memo from the U.S. Attorney's office and from a judge. The memo undermined the policy ICE was using to arrest immigrants at immigration courthouses. Goldman asked if Mullin was familiar with it. Mullin said he was not. Goldman said he was disappointed. He worked at the Justice Department for 10 years. He had never seen a letter like that. That is not hyperbole. That is a statement from an experienced former federal prosecutor. A U.S. attorney does not write a letter like that lightly. Accusing a colleague of concealing evidence is a serious allegation. It suggests that the lawyer was acting in bad faith. It suggests that the policy was based on a lie, and the head of the agency that employs that lawyer has not looked into it. He is not familiar with the case. He has taken no disciplinary action. That is not leadership. That is abdication. Goldman then asked about the judge's order. Judge Castell, a Bush appointee, prohibited arrests at immigration courthouses in New York City. Mullin said that if an immigrant is on a final order of removal, ICE has the right to pick them up. Goldman said that never happens. What happens every day is that people who are here lawfully, seeking asylum, seeking lawful status, go to court because they are required to. Then they come out and are arrested. They are sent to low-security facilities. They have no criminal records. How do we know they have no records? Because low-security facilities do not accept serious felons. If they were in those facilities, they are not serious criminals. They are people who followed the law by showing up to court, and they were punished for it. Mullin pushed back. He said 228 people in Delaney Hall are serious felons. That is not a defense. That is a distraction. Goldman did not say there are no serious felons in detention. He said the people being arrested at courthouses are not serious felons. They have no records. They are being arrested for the crime of following the law. Mullin did not address that. He could not. Goldman's closing question was the most important. Judge Castell has ordered the process stopped in New York City. Are you going to stop it everywhere? The question is simple. It requires a yes or no. Mullin did not answer. The time expired. The chairman moved on. Goldman did not get an answer. Because the answer is no. The administration is not going to stop. They are going to keep arresting people at courthouses. They are going to keep detaining people with no criminal records. They are going to keep ignoring court orders when it suits them. And they are going to hide behind semantics. We enforce the nation's laws. A court order is a law. Then follow it. But they will not say that, because they are not following it. They are picking and choosing. They are deciding which court orders are political and which are legitimate. And they are not telling anyone how they make that decision. Goldman did his job. He asked questions. He cited a specific case. He cited a specific letter. He cited a specific judge's order. He did not get answers, but he created a record. He showed that the Secretary of Homeland Security is not familiar with a case where a federal prosecutor accused an ICE lawyer of concealing evidence. He showed that the Secretary cannot say whether the administration will follow a court order. He showed that the Secretary cannot explain why people with no criminal records are being arrested at courthouses. That is not a successful hearing, but it is a necessary one. Because sometimes the only thing you can do is show that the witness is hiding. Goldman showed it.